appreciate you all being here. We almost didn't have this one, but I'm pleased that Congressman Dan Lundgren, Chairman of the Committee of Jurisdiction, stepped in and made sure that the truth was not squelched. Because that's all we want. All we want is the truth. We want to know the facts in this. One of the things that my colleague and friend again have done is when we have hearings, we brought people in different sides of the issue to get the facts before us. When we do not have the facts, we cannot make good policy. I mean, we are guided by information that simply coexists at the same amount of time, and someone lays claim that's a cause-effect factor. We can make bad policy, and bad policy can have negative effects then upon our jobs, our economy, and our future, and we don't want that. Where there are problems, we want to know, and we want to make sure they're remediated. Where there are not problems, we want to make sure we are not coming up with more barriers that cause problems. I do want to point out that it was over a year and a half ago when Lisa Jackson, the Minister of the EPA, was before our Committee on Energy and Commerce. I asked her if she had any concerns about any of the laws or regulations in Pennsylvania dealing with fracking and natural gas, and if she had any concerns about their enforcement. She had said she would get back to me. A few months later, I asked her that question again and said I had not heard from her. She still did not get back to me. And then this spring, I asked that question again when she was before her committee, if at that point she was able to compile this information, and she has yet to produce it. And yet we did discuss articles that were, for example, in the New York Times and other references that were made, including multiple references to quotes by John Hanger, the former DEP Secretary in Pennsylvania, in which he was not even interviewed for that article. So it is important that we look at the sources and the resources involved with all these things, and note that we have something like 3 million Americans who are currently employed in the natural gas industry. That's 622,000 direct jobs and over 2.5 million indirect jobs. I know that in Pennsylvania, our workers make an average of $73,000 per year. The Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania is at about $8 billion value to the economy and about $1.8 billion additional state and local tax revenues. We know that it is an important factor, as unfortunately there is something of a war on coal now, but natural gas is going to be an important energy force for several things. For providing conversion of electricity and running power plants, for the chemical and manufacturing industry, for the transportation industry, and some for exports. But the point is, I want to have that opportunity, and we want to make sure the facts are on the table to do that. When I've seen the film Gasland, which did not have any problem securing rooms to show it in the Capitol area here, I was troubled by so many of the statements made in this, and sometimes simply laying out coexisting information and leading the viewer then to assume that there was some cause-effect between them. Now, my background is psychologist. I'm trained in science, and that's the standard that I want to see. And it is not appropriate in a scientific film or statement to claim that there is a cause-effect relationship unless you can prove that. Correlation does not suffice. But I was moved by the emotions of the people in that film, because every landowner and every citizen has a right to know that their laws are appropriately enforced and they're to protect the air, land, and water. And that's where we get down to finding out about the truth. And to that end, I'd like to introduce one mother who had lots of questions and a personal journey to find the truth, who was the interviewer in this film, Truthland. Also a dairy farmer, 40-some, Ed, I believe. Where is this? There you're back there. You're not supposed to hide in the back because I got to bring you up front here.
Oh, I like the back.
To talk a little bit about this. And then afterwards, we'll show the film. Unfortunately, we'll probably have to skip out the roads, come back. But then following that, have a panel up here of experts in the fields to have a discussion with you. And I hope that's something you will all not only ask questions about, but push for the hard facts. We have nothing to fear from pushing for the truth, and I want to make sure we are continuing to do that. I want to know if there are problems, I want to know if there are solutions, and I want to make sure that Congress is pushing that through. So now let me introduce, if I may, Joe, come on up here and tell us about, introduce this film for us, and let's get on.